ういい。センズなしで戦え。
ブルマさん、パンお願いします。
任せて。
面白そう。行こうぜ。俺たちもいるぜ。
In the 7th universe. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on planet Earth, it was possible to see in a mountainous terrain that belonged to the Capsule Corporation. Goten and Trunks were fighting against each other to become stronger. Trunks was dominating the battle from the beginning, which frustrated a little Goten, and after long minutes the two were on the ground tired, but Trunks seemed to be just a little tired, unlike Goten, who was panting after that combat training between the two Saiyans. Trunks said, "It's been a while since we trained this intensely. You're apparently weaker than the last time we fought." Trunks said before grabbing a bottle of water and starting to drink. Goten said, "I didn't become weaker, Trunks. It's you who became stronger than you were before. But how did you manage to do that? You normally don't train and spend most of your time studying or hanging out with Mai, and sometimes you go out on the streets helping people wearing the Great Saberman costume, and I spend more time training and acting like a hero out there. So how did you get so strong?" Goten asked, curious about why his friend became so strong in a short time. After all, it didn't make sense for him that Trunks was so much stronger than him. Trunks said, "It's because my father started training me recently. He said that my power level is too low to protect my mother and younger sister if my father isn't around. So he started training me so I can at least protect them when my father isn't there, and that's why I'm stronger than before." Trunks said to Goten before giving a slight excited smile, as Trunks liked training with his father and especially spending time with him. Goten said, "It seems that now it will be more complicated for me to be at the same level as you. After all, I don't train that much, and when I train it is alone because there is no one stronger than me who can help me train." Goten said, upset at having been surpassed and at not having anyone he could ask to train him. Trunks said, "Is there no one you know who can train you right now? We met many people including the Z Warriors who are our parents' friends like Piccolo, Master Roshi, Gohan, and even his father Goku." Trunks said while remembering the people he knew who could train Goten. Goten said, "Piccolo is too focused on training Pan and taking care of her. Master Roshi is taking a vacation on some paradise island. Gohan is too focused on his studies and is worrying more about Pan after her kidnapping, and my father, he's never at home, and when he is, he just eats or sleeps and sometimes spends time with my mother, so there's no one who has the time or inclination to train me." Goten said, before sighing and grabbing a bottle of water to drink. Trunks said, "It really seems like there's no one who can train you right now. I would even suggest that you go train with me and my dad, but he probably wouldn't want to train you. But I think I know someone who can train you, and that person has plenty of time to do it, and so does he. It's very strong." Trunks said while a certain person came to his mind, and that made Goten curious. Goten said, "Someone who can train me and who is strong. Who would this person be, Trunks?" Goten asked, curious and slightly hopeful of finding someone who could train him. Trunks said, "Whis. He is an angel and is very powerful, as you may already know, and he even trained our parents to obtain divine power. And if Whis has already trained our parents, he can also train you. After all, you also have great potential, and you can learn a lot of things quickly, so Whis will probably agree to train you." Trunks said, and upon hearing the angel's name, Goten ended up jumping excitedly. Goten said, "It's true. I had forgotten about Whis and that he could train me. Now that you mentioned it, there was a time when I saw Whis at one of Bulma's parties, and he ended up saying that I had great potential to become a great warrior just like our parents. But at that time I didn't feel like fighting and become a warrior, so I ignored what he said. But now maybe Whis will accept me as one of his disciples." Goten said, excited about the possibility of being trained by a being as powerful and experienced as Whis. Trunks said, "Okay, now you have a powerful master who will be able to train you and make you very strong, and depending on your training and disposition, you will be able to overcome my power level easily, and who knows, maybe you can reach the power level of ours parents. So enjoy it, because when I have extra time, I will also ask Whis to train me, and I will become very powerful to be able to protect my whole family." Trunks said before clapping his fists and looking at Goten in a determined manner. Goten said, "Protect your family and also Main, his future girlfriend." Goten asked in a malicious way while looking at Trunks, who blushed at that comment. Trunks said, "Shut up, you idiot." Trunks said, embarrassed by his best friend's comment, who just laughed at his situation. Goten said, "I'm almost sure that Whis is in the Capsule Corporation, so let's go. In fact, according to the schedule, Mai should be at the Capsule Corporation since you agreed to study for those tests together, so we better go since you don't want to keep your girlfriend waiting," Goten said in an amusing way while looking at Trunks, who blushed even more. Trunks said, "I already said that Mai is not my girlfriend," Trunks shouted, still blushing at the comments from his best friend who was just laughing. Goten said, "Not yet at least. Now let's go because you have to study like a good boy, and I'm gonna find a master to train me like a good delinquent, as my mother would say," Goten said, laughing and then flying out of that place with Trunks, who ended up laughing at Goten's speech. Capsule Corporation. After flying for a few minutes, Goten and Trunks arrived at the Capsule Corporation, and when they arrived, Trunks noticed Mai sitting talking to Bulma in a corner, which made Trunks blush a little because he already knew what his mother was like and her comments about Mai and him. Together, Goten was happy to notice that Whis and Beerus were in a corner near the pool eating some sweets. Goten said, "Go there with your girlfriend because I'm going to talk to Whis," said Goten before going to Whis, ignoring Trunks' comments about what he just said. Beerus said, "I wasn't expecting to see Goku's youngest son here. What happened this time? Did your mother ask you to ask if Goku is going to spend the week away training again, or did she ask you to tell Goku that he has to attend a parent meeting like last time?" Beerus asked when he saw Goten approaching him, and as Goten normally didn't talk to them, Beerus already assumed it was a request from Chi-Chi. Goten said, "Sorry, but this time I didn't come at my mother's request like in our last meetings." Goten said, slightly embarrassed as he remembered the several times he had to talk to Beerus and Whis because of his mother. Whis said, "So what do you want with us, son Goten?" Whis asked before taking a piece of chocolate to his mouth. Goten said, "I would like you to train me, Whis. Recently I've been wanting to get stronger, but apparently no one is willing to help me. And since you already trained my father and Trunks' father, I thought you could train me," Goten said while looking at Whis, leaving the angel surprised as well as Beerus, who wasn't expecting that. Whis said, "I wasn't expecting you to ask me to train you, but I don't see any reason not to train you. I accept, Goten. Get ready, because tomorrow I will go to your house, and from there we will train. So it is better to talk to your mother about our training, which will be rigorous." Whis said to Goten, who gave the angel a big excited smile. Goten said, "Yes, sir," Goten said excitedly before leaving the place, flying towards his home to talk to his mother about his training with Whis. In the 7th universe. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on a remote island on planet Earth, it was possible to see Whis sitting on a fallen tree trunk watching Goten, who was doing some push-ups with a large black rock on his back. The young Saiyan was in his form base while doing your push-ups. Goten said, 996, 997, 998, 999, 1000. Goten shouted, slightly panting, and then he transformed into a Super Saiyan and stood up, throwing that black rock into the corner, and then looked at Whis. Whis said, "I hope you didn't get too tired, because this little set of push-ups was just a warm-up," Whis said while looking at Goten, who returned to his base form. Goten said, "I admit that I was surprised when you placed that rock on my back. It seemed to be much lighter than the rocks I used to train, but it is much heavier, even though it is not that big." Goten commented before looking back to see the black rock that was on his back seconds ago. Whis said, "That rock over there is from another planet where the gravity is about 100 times greater than that of planet Earth, and even though it doesn't look like it, that rock over there is about half a ton. I was actually surprised that you were able to perform 1,000 push-ups without needing to transform into a Super Saiyan, so congratulations," Whis said while looking at Goten, who was surprised to hear the weight of the rock that was on his back. Goten said, "Wow, I thought she was heavy, but not that much. Well, now what will my next training be?" Goten asked Whis, who hit his staff on the ground, and in front of Goten appeared a pair of new clothes, similar to his father's clothes. Whis said, "Your next training session will be heavier, and as such it would be better to wear these clothes, because the clothes you are wearing will not help you," Whis said while looking at Goten, who was wearing his casual clothes until that moment. Goten was surprised by the training clothes that were similar to his father's, but as Whis had already trained his father, it wasn't that surprising that Whis gave those clothes to Goten to wear during his training. When Goten picked up his new clothes, he ended up being surprised to feel the weight of them, which by the way were very heavy. Even the cloth that was used as a belt for those clothes was heavy. Goten said, "These clothes are very heavy. My father once said that he had worn heavy clothes to train with you in the past, but I wasn't expecting to receive the same training that my father received. Goten commented as he lifted all the pieces of clothing and held on so as not to let the clothes fall to the floor or knock him to the ground. Whis said, "You're right, but at the same time, you're wrong. Your father has had to face many battles and has had many combat experiences as well as many masters over time, unlike you who must not have even half of what your father and your brother had. Therefore, your training will be similar in some aspects, but in others, it will be different." Whis said while looking at Goten, who was listening to the angel. Goten said, "I understand, but what exactly are these weighted clothes for? So I can increase my physical attributes?" Goten asked, curious about why he would have to wear those heavy clothes to train. Whis said, "The reason is very simple. In reality, you have a very large potential for evolution within you, a potential much greater than your father, and possibly even greater than your older brother's potential. But unlike those two, your body is not yet strong enough to achieve great power, and if you try, this is the result." Whis said before raising one of his fingers and gathering a small sphere of ki that the angel threw towards Goten. Goten was surprised by the sphere of ki that gradually approached him, and suddenly the small sphere of ki entered Goten's chest, which was strange. But suddenly Goten felt a great pain hit his body, which made him let go of the clothes in his hand and fall to the ground feeling a lot of pain. Several nerves in Goten's body were expanding and some of them even exploding, making Goten spits out a lot of blood. Whis, seeing that, decided that it was good and hit the tip of his staff on Goten's head, causing the Saiyan to be completely healed and the pain that was on his body disappeared. Goten said, "What was that?" Goten asked breathlessly, still feeling pain in his body. Whis said, "Nothing much. I just transferred a small amount of divine ki to your body, Goten, but as he is not well trained, he couldn't handle that energy and started to self-destruct. Now you know why you will train your body until it is able to handle that sphere of pure divine energy. When you do, you will be able to transform into a Super Saiyan God without having to go through that ritual that your father had to go through." By the way, I don't know if you know, but both Goku and Vegeta were unable to enter the Super Saiyan God form without the ritual. They only managed to do so after I transferred some divine energy to them. Only then did Goku and Vegeta manage to transform. In Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue emerged when they managed to evolve that divine energy that was inside them. So if you can do these two things, you can also have the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. Whis said with a smile on his face as he looked at Goten, who was still panting and there were some streams of blood running down his mouth. Goten said, "Now I understand why my father and Mr. Vegeta achieved the ability to transform into Super Saiyan God without the need to use the ritual to transform. I was originally imagining that you would only train me to reach a level of power great enough to protect my family and those around me. I wasn't imagining that you would train me to reach the level of a deity," Goten said, surprised by the fact that Whis wanted to train him to reach such a high level. Whis said, "You are wrong about the level of power you will be after we finish your training, Goten." Whis said as he stood up and took a few steps. The young Saiyan was confused after hearing the angel. Goten said, "What do you mean? You yourself just said that I need to train my body to be able to withstand divine power and transform into a Super Saiyan God, so my power level when this training is over will be at least divine level, right?" Goten asked as he stood up and wiped the blood from his mouth, and Whis heard Goten's words. The angel gave a small laugh. Whis said, "There are few beings that I have trained, and all those that I have trained, I have not trained to reach a certain level. I have trained them to reach their full potential, and your Goten is far above a deity," spoke Whis before several holograms emerged from his staff showing Beerus, Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and some other warriors from the past, and all of them were in their most powerful forms. Goten said, "So does this mean that my potential is above Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, and you want to train me to be able to reach that potential?" Goten asked, curious and a little surprised by Whis' words. Whis said, "Goten, you don't even know the great potential you have within yourself. There are mortals who have great potential and are called prodigies, but you can be considered a prodigy among prodigies, something very rare to see even for me, who has lived thousands of years." Whis said, looking at Goten, who still didn't understand. Goten said, "And what exactly does that mean?" Goten asked, still not understanding Whis' words. Whis said, "It means that I will train you, not to reach the level of a god, but to reach the level of an angel, and to reach that level, I will make you reach the level of your father, and just like him, you will also awaken Ultra Instinct and control it completely," Whis said before raising one of his hands, causing the aura of Ultra Instinct to surround his hand, and all those words ended up making Goten very surprised. After all, he wanted to become strong, but he wasn't expecting to be trained to reach that level of power. In the 7th universe. In the 7th universe, to be more precise, in a remote area of planet Earth, it was possible to see Whis sitting on a tree trunk, and he was watching Goten, who was in front of him meditating in order to mentally prepare himself to receive the divine energy that Whis would give it to him so he can awaken the power of Super Saiyan God. Whis thought, "Goten, you are a greater prodigy than I initially expected. I thought it would take at least 6 to 8 months to train your body to be able to withstand the divine energy without destroying itself. But it has only been 2 months since the beginning of the training, and your body is already ready to receive the power of the divine energy," thought Whis, still surprised by the speed with which Goten managed to progress and evolve his body to be able to withstand divine energy. Whis said, "Goten, it's time for you to receive divine energy. I hope you are ready mentally, because this is going to be painful and you have to focus on absorbing the divine energy that I will put into your body, and if you cannot concentrate enough, the divine energy will destroy your body," Whis said to Goten, who, upon hearing his master's words, sighed and stood up and looked at the angel. Goten said, "I know this is dangerous since that time you put divine energy in my body, but that time I wasn't prepared physically and much less mentally to withstand that pain or energy, but now I'm ready enough already. If you believe in me, I must believe it too," Goten said, a little reluctant with that. After all, he didn't want to have to feel that terrible pain, but it was necessary to continue his evolution. Whis said, "Don't worry so much. You are ready to absorb the divine energy and awaken the power of the Super Saiyan God. Now let's get started and remember to focus on the divine energy and absorbing it and not on the pain in your body regardless of how great it is," spoke Whis. While facing Goten, upon hearing these words, he ended up swallowing hard because he knew it would hurt a lot. Goten said, "Let's get this over with, or else I'll end up giving up on receiving divine power because of this pain I'm going to have to feel," Goten said before moving away from Whis and waving at him, showing that he was ready. Whis slammed his staff on the ground, and in front of Goten a sphere of divine ki appeared, larger than the one Goten felt entering his body months ago. Even though he felt scared and knew the pain he would feel, Goten touched that sphere of divine ki, and at the same moment he felt his muscles contract, generating great pain in him, which made him remove his hand from that sphere of divine ki, making the pain disappear for a moment. Time. Goten sighed when he felt that pain, but then he approached and hugged the sphere of divine ki, making it enter his chest. The moment the sphere of divine ki entered his body, Goten felt a pain so great that it made all the old experiences of pain he had gone through feel like a tickle. But even though he felt that pain, Goten focused on the divine energy that was now in his body, and he began to absorb that power little by little. But the more time passed, the more pain he felt, and his muscles contracted more and more, so much so that Goten ended up feeling his internal organs being crushed by his own muscles, and even his heart was giving in, overloading. And because of all this, the young Saiyan was vomiting a lot of blood, and yet he remained concentrated enough to absorb the divine energy within himself. Whis observed all of this patiently and analyzed Goten and his progress in absorbing the divine energy that was in his body, and if he couldn't or reached a critical level, the angel would have to interfere because he didn't want Goten to lose his life. After all, it would be a shame letting someone with such great potential lose his life like that. Minutes ended up passing, minutes in which Goten felt a lot of pain, but he remained focused on his objective, which was to absorb that divine energy that was now in his body. And after these long and harrowing minutes, Goten managed to absorb all the divine energy that was in his body. After absorbing the divine energy that was in his body, Goten closed his eyes and concentrated, and soon after his power increased and he managed to transform into a Super Saiyan God for the first time, and his power increased more than he expected. And around him, it was possible to see the divine aura that resembles a large flame. Goten said, I really managed to absorb that divine energy and not die in the process. I knew the Super Saiyan God's power was great, but not that much," Goten said, surprised at himself for having managed to absorb the divine energy that Whis transferred to him, and now he possessed the power of a deity. Whis said, Goten, congratulations on being able to absorb the divine energy that I put into his body. Now you are at the level of a deity, but you do not have mastery over your divine powers since you have obtained them now, so you will have to train everything from the beginning, starting with the basic foundations of ki, spoke Whis after getting up and approaching Goten, who was still analyzing the divine energy that was around him. Goten said, "Will I have to go back to learning the basics? But I already know the basics about ki, so why do I need to go back to the basics?" Goten asked, stopping analyzing himself and looking at Whis. Whis said, "Yes sir, you will have to learn everything again. The reason for this is simple. Everything you have learned to date was as a mortal, and now you have the power of a deity, and as such the basic fundamentals do not work as well as you think. When it comes to divine energy, you will have to learn everything again. But don't worry, I'm here, aren't I? I will help you in this mission." Whis explained to Goten that he finally ended up understanding why he would have to train everything from the beginning, including the basic fundamentals of using ki. Goten said, "It makes sense that I have to train everything from the beginning again, but for that I would have to be transformed into a Super Saiyan God all the time. But as I just learned to transform myself, I won't be able to maintain my God form, Super Saiyan, for a long time." Goten said before his Super Saiyan God forms disappeared, making him return to his base form, but very tired and out of breath from everything that happened during the process to absorb the divine energy. Whis said, "Don't worry, I will give you some time to recover, and after that I will train you to adapt to the power of the Super Saiyan God, but you will still train during this time. After all, I can teach you the theory while you are in its base form, and when it is in its divine form, you will put it into practice," Whis said while looking at Goten, who sighed in relief. After all, he was very tired and needed to eat and rest immediately. Goten said, "Thank you, Master, for giving me some time to rest. I've been training non-stop for so long that I barely remember the last time I actually managed to sleep." Goten said, relieved to know that he will be able to rest after training tirelessly over the last few months, and that was something that made Whis laugh slightly. Whis said, "I told you I wouldn't take it easy on your training, but you apparently didn't take my words so seriously. Now go bathe in that waterfall to the east, and in the meantime I will get some food that your mother prepared and asked me to give to you, and after that you will be able to sleep peacefully for the next few hours. But after you wake up, you will have to train a lot," Whis said to Goten, who nodded positively, and then Whis created a new pair of clothes and threw them to the Saiyan, who took them. Goten said, "I'll be back in a little while, Master," Goten said before leaving the place, leaving Whis alone. Whis thought, "Goten, your previous training will seem like heaven compared to what I will put you through in the next level of training to achieve the power of Ultra Instinct." Whis thought, giving an evil smile as he looked in Goten's direction, but then ended up laughing slightly since he was enjoying training Goten. In the 7th universe, currently in the 7th universe, to be more precise, on an island on planet Earth that is thousands of kilometers from society, it was possible to see Goten in his Super Saiyan God form in a combat stance, while looking at Whis, who did not have his staff in hand and was in a simple combat stance, and as always he had a slight smile on his face as he looked at Goten. Whis said, "Goten, you don't need to try to contain yourself. In fact, don't contain yourself and come with everything. And when I say that, I mean that you come to me with the intention of killing me. If you don't, I will have to increase the intensity of your training as punishment," spoke Whis in a combat stance while looking at Goten, who was relaxed. But upon hearing his master's words, he assumed a more serious and focused posture than before. Goten flexed his legs and advanced towards Whis, leaving the ground where he was broken due to the strength he exerted when advancing against the angel. The moment he got close enough to Whis, Goten jumped up and in midair tried to land a kick from top to bottom at Whis, but the same deflection was too easy, making Goten's blow hit the ground, which ended up being destroyed, generating a small crater due to the Saiyan's blow. When Goten saw that his first blow was useless, he concentrated his divine ki on his legs and performed a kick towards Whis, and from this kick a wave of ki similar to a blade formed, and it went towards Whis, who was surprised by it. But when he saw the blow coming towards him, he just made a simple jump, dodging the attack that ended up cutting a mountain behind Whis, along with several trees that ended up falling. Whis, seeing this scene, just whistled in surprise at the strength of that attack and how polished it was. Was mastery over Goten's divine ki? Whis quickly had to look forward again, only to be met by Goten's fist, and using his great speed, he disappeared and reappeared behind Goten, which made him miss his blow. But at the same instant, the young Saiyan managed to turn his body, making his fist go against Whis. But the angel was faster and defended himself using the palm of his hand. But even so, the shock of Goten's fist with Whis' palm ended up generating an impact wave so strong that everything in the 100-meter radius of them ended up being destroyed, including the ground. Whis held Goten's leg and threw him towards a rock that Goten ended up destroying with his body, but he recovered quickly, and upon seeing the remains of that rock, the young Saiyan kicked its fragments towards Whis, and the angel, seeing that, destroyed all the rock fragments with ease. But soon after, Whis had to dodge another key attack fired by Goten, who then advanced towards Whis. When Whis saw the attack coming towards her, she slapped Goten's blow, changing the direction of the Saiyan's blow, who thought quickly and placed his hands on the ground and tried to land a kick at Whis, who let himself be hit. Whis ended up going in towards the heavens. Goten quickly positioned himself and concentrated his energy in his hands, and then ended up using the Kamehameha and firing it towards Whis. Whis, seeing that powerful attack coming in front of him, smiled, seeing that his apprentice took his words seriously enough to go all out against him. But he soon put his thoughts aside and placed his hand in front of his body, receiving the attack from Goten with full force at close range, generating an explosion of smoke. Goten, who was still on the island, was hoping that Whis had at least a scratch, but he soon sighed when he saw the smoke disappearing, revealing Whis without any scratches or dust on his clothes. The only thing that was different was smoke coming out of his hand, of Whis, the hand he used to defend himself from Goten's attack. Whis thought, he is much more powerful than before. Saiyans are beings with a really high potential for evolution. It hasn't even been 6 months since he managed to transform into a Super Saiyan God for the first time, and he is already at that level of power. I don't know if I should applaud the level of evolution or be afraid that he will one day become strong enough to overcome me and my brothers, because he has the potential to overcome the gods of destruction, while that of the angels is still a mystery. Whis thought to himself while analyzing Goten's evolution, which was extremely high by normal standards. Goten sighed and then concentrated and began to raise his power to the maximum, and soon managed to transform into Super Saiyan Blue, and when he did so, he advanced with a speed aura against Whis, generating a crater in the place he was previously. Whis, seeing the Saiyan advancing towards him, put himself back into a fighting stance, and this time he advanced towards Goten, who began to attack Whis. Goten was trying his hardest, and as he was angry for appearing to be weak to Whis, his power increased as time went by. Whis decided to attack him, and with that, Whis disappeared and reappeared behind Goten, who quickly turned around and kicked at the angel, but Whis stuck at dodging the blow, and then the angel got up and put his hand in front of Goten's face, and before he could react, he ended up receiving a flick that was so strong that it made Goten throw himself away and faint in the process. Because of Whis' strength, Whis ended up sighing when he realized that he used more force than necessary, and there was a good chance that his father, the Daishinkan, would scold him if he discovered that, after all, angels are not allowed to fight anyone, at least not with the intention of hurting them. Goten, after receiving that flick on his forehead, ended up falling into the sea and began to sink. But inside his mind, there were several memories of the times he tried to help his friends and his father, where he was unable to help anyone since he was too weak, and that made Goten very sad and especially angry at his lack of strength, and thanks to this mix of feelings, he ended up waking up. Goten began to increase his power, generating a whirlpool in the sea, and suddenly an explosion of energy ended up happening, and that same energy was directed to the sky, generating a storm, which made Whis confused by it. Whis said, if I remember correctly, humans would call this scene deja vu. Whis said when he felt a similarity with that scene in front of him. Suddenly all the energy that was being released began to gather at a single point, and that point was precisely Goten, who began to absorb all that energy, and after a few seconds all that energy was absorbed by Goten, and Whis just smiled when he felt the amount of energy present in Goten's body. Goten, who appeared to be in his base form at that moment, disappeared and reappeared in front of Whis, trying to hit him with a blow, but Whis easily dodged Goten's blow. But then the young Saiyan turned around and opened his eyes, revealing that they were the same color as his father's eyes when he had incomplete Ultra Instinct, and an aura appeared around Goten, making Whis smile. Whis thought, he managed to activate incomplete Ultra Instinct in a similar way to Goku. It's like humans say, like father, like son. Whis thought, surprised to see Goten using incomplete Ultra Instinct. Whis said, Congratulations on being able to activate Ultra Instinct, but you're not ready to keep that power activated yet, so go to sleep, Goten. Spoke Whis before disappearing and reappearing in front of Goten, attacking him with a blow to the stomach. Goten trying to resist, he ended up not being able to stay awake after that attack, so he ended up fainting and falling into Whis' arms, who smiled again at him. But now a more proud and happy smile for Goten. Guys, we finished this story here. Do you like it? Who knows, I can continue this story, right? So leave your like to help the channel and also subscribe so you don't miss any videos like this one. So see you next time.